Rams house, welcome into our draft grades video. The 2026 NFL draft is in the book. So on today's episode of the Rams Report presented by Prize Picks, we're going to go pick by pick through the entire 2026 NFL draft for your Los Angeles Rams. And we're going to break down every single pick that these guys made, all 5 of them. There's just 5, so it won't take too long. And we'll talk about what they bring to this team, not just in the now, but in the future. Because as we've hit on over and over again this week, this draft cannot just be considered as a for now draft. This draft is laying the foundation for the future for the Rams. And no pick says more about that than the selection of Ty Simpson, 13th overall out of Alabama. And I'm gonna be fully honest with you guys. I have revised my grade of this pick from night one, where I was very reactionary, where I was very initially upset about not adding a day one weapon. I was not seeing the vision yet. But I think it is okay to process information and to respond in a new way after you have done so. That is how we adapt as human beings. If you're not doing that, if you are so stubborn and stuck in your ways that you can't adapt to new information and to change, then that's just not good process at all. And as I watch more Ty Simpson, as I get more aware and more appraised of what the Rams draft plan was, the more I am okay with this selection. I'm not going to tell you guys that I love it. I'm not going to tell you guys that I like it even. But I understand it. But I get the vision. I see what they are going for with the pick of Ty Simpson, and I understand exactly why it was made. Because I think truly, at the end of the day, it comes down to one thing, and that is that entering a quarterback unknown for this Rams team is a absolute no-go. They will not let that happen. They will not walk off of their time with Matthew Stafford and into the great unknown. They will have something to tether themselves to. That was an absolute must for Sean McVay and Les Snead. That is absolutely apparent. And so therefore, I understand why they felt the need to do this, but I still think there were better options available. I still think you could have gotten a day one playmaker with this pick. Mekhi Lemon was right there for you. Kenyon Sadiq was right there for you. This is a C- pick, in my opinion. I get it, but I don't really get it at the end of the day. Next, we've got to talk about Max Klare. 61st overall selection out of Ohio State. And the more I watch Klare and the more I get familiar with Klare, the more I think maybe he isn't just a for the future pick, which what we immediately talked about him as. I do think there's a chance this guy can earn his keep in year one. I do love the tape with this guy, especially when you go back to Purdue. This guy was incredibly productive that season. Comes over to Ohio State, and obviously there's so many mouths to feed in that offense. So the production does just not leap off the page for you. Just a little under 500 yards. But that's the same conversation we had with Carnell Tate. At the end of the day, when you got a lot of mouths to feed, it's going to limit things. But the hands are soft. I think it could work on some drop issues at the end of the day. But he is that true vertical tight end. He is not a blocker. That is not his role. But when you run as much 13 personnel as we do, you can find ways to limit the liability of him in blocking. You can get him off the field in run blocking situations. You can have him on the field in pass first situations early in his career as you continue to teach him to block, as you continue to develop that skill set. I don't know if it's ever going to be something he really thrives at, but he can be a baseline guy for you so he's not a total liability in those situations. And he can be a big time plus as a receiver. I really feel that way. I think McVay's going to get the most out of this dude operating over the middle, what he is able to scheme up for him, even if it isn't in 2026, even if he has a Terrence Ferguson like year one. Don't get frustrated. Do not give up on him. Stick with the program just like we did with Terrence Ferguson last season and trust the process a little bit because the vision at tight end is clear. This is a position that is incredibly valuable to this Rams franchise, and they're going to continue to invest in it, even if those guys are not day one producers, even if those guys are not day one beasts for you. But speaking of beasts, if you want the Los Angeles Rams rookies to be beasts, then manifest some good vibes with me and like today's video. Drop a like on this one to manifest those good vibes for the Rams rookies. And let's go ahead and give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Prize Picks. Today's show is sponsored by America's #1 sports picks app, Prize Picks. If you love daily fantasy sports or you just want to find a way to make sports even more exciting than they already are, you've got to try out Prize Picks. It's a great time to get started there too, with playoff basketball in full swing and the baseball season underway as well. There's just no better place to cash in on all that action than Prize Picks. You just pick 2 to 6 players and you select more or less on their stat projections, whether it's points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, or others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy, you could choose from hits, home runs, and strikeouts. Prize Picks also has awesome social features that allow you to easily tailor fade your friends or your favorite creators, including me, guys. I'm on there at Jackson Durham with no spaces. You guys can drop a follow. You can see all the lineups I've been placing lately, and you can tailor fade me on those. Whatever you do, just do it at Prize Picks. And if you're a brand new user, download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. One more time, that's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. The clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description below. Let's move on to the 3rd round pick that the Rams made, one Keegan Trost. Guard/tackle, true just offensive lineman across the board, incredibly versatile player, and incredibly experienced player. What you see across the rest of these picks, guys, is a pattern that is very Rams-esque. Something we see from the Rams time and time again is a love for older players, a love for players who have played a lot of ball and proven themselves in that way. And you see that here with Keegan Trost, somebody who got his start at Morgan State, moved on to Indiana State, and then went to Wake Forest before finishing things off on an incredibly high note at Missouri. Take a look at these PFF grades from his final season at Missouri. You can tell that this dude was battle-tested in practice, going against Zion Young every day in practice, an edge defender who got drafted very early to the Baltimore Ravens this season. That was battle-testing him. He improved a ton this season. Even at 25 years old, you can see there's a lot of upside left to be gained with Keegan Trost. And because he's been so well-traveled, he's had to fill in a lot of different spots for teams. He was a left tackle with Wake Forest, a right tackle with Missouri. He's played left and right guard in his career as well. He has played every spot along the offensive line except for center. That is an incredibly versatile piece. That is great depth to have because he can fill in so many different spots for you. Next up, speaking of depth, CJ Daniels brings it to the receiver room day one at worst, and he, I think, could truly be an impact maker for this team. Given some time to continue developing, CJ Daniels, I really feel, is a guy, again, very in the Rams mold. A 6th-year senior. Keegan Trost, a 7th-year senior. He's 24 years old. He's well-traveled. Got his start at Liberty before transferring to LSU. Was incredibly productive at Liberty, mind you guys. 200 yards his freshman season, over 1,000 yards his sophomore season. You see that production slow down when he comes up to the Power 5 level. And that's the thing that, if there's one thing that concerns me about CJ Daniels, it's that. At the end of the day, he just wasn't ever a top target at the Power 5 level, which that's a little tough to see that translating to the NFL, to see him breaking out and being like a top target for you. That's unlikely, but what he can be is a role guy. Again, this is a 6th round pick. At the end of the day, the odds of this dude becoming the next Puka Nacua for you are quite low, but he can play an important role, and he does fit into the mold of a lot of those guys. A productive dude at the college level, someone who's incredibly experienced and has that ability as a route runner. That's where he really shines. His routes are his best strength. He doesn't win with a ton of speed. He doesn't win with a ton of athleticism, but he wins with really refined routes and a technical precision to his game. Lastly, Tim Keenan III out of Alabama, our 7th round, 232nd overall pick. And this guy, just think of him as solid depth for the defensive tackle room. He's not really going to offer you anything at all as a pass rusher from day one. And I don't know if it's anything that he can develop, to be completely honest with you, because the real problem for Tim Keenan is a lack of length. That's what's going to limit him from being a true pass rush threat at the end of the day. He's got solid athleticism. I think he has the first step to get there. The speed is not an issue, but it is a lack of length. He struggles to disconnect from blocks quick enough in a consistent enough basis to really be a pressure threat. So you're not going to expect that from him, but he can eat some space for you in the run game. He can relieve pressure off of some starters, get some extra reps in there. I don't think he's going to contribute for you much at all day one. Again, this is a 7th round draft pick, but ideally he would develop into rotational depth for this defensive tackle room, someone who can get on the field and play some snaps in obvious run situations early on, and then play a bigger role as he continues to develop. So that's a B minus for me. Another solid pick for this Rams team. I'm going to give you guys my grade for the entire Rams draft class in just 1 minute. But I want to hear from you first. What is your grade for this year's Rams draft? And again, I think we have to grade it in some context here, right? We have to understand what the Rams are trying to accomplish. And when we do, I come around to a B minus. At the end of the day, when I put myself in Les Snead's shoes and I see he's building for the future with this draft class, and he's done it in a lot of really smart ways. And then on day 3, you still got your receiver, a guy a lot of people had projected in the 4th round. And how much success has Eric Yarber had developing receivers that were drafted on day 3? More than anybody in the NFL. I truly trust the Rams process. I'm giving this draft a B minus. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but I have walked out of Rams drafts so disappointed before and been so wrong. I have to trust in the process of guys like Les Snead and Sean McVay. They've proven me wrong before. I think they're going to do it again with this draft class. I hope in a year or two we're looking back on it as an absolute A+, with Ty Simpson as a very productive member of this team, given time to become it. But it's going to be interesting. It's a very different draft class than we expected, as I said. Very wild stuff here. We'll continue to discuss this draft over the next couple of weeks. We are not going anywhere, guys. So make sure you subscribe and stay locked in if you want to keep hearing about the Rams draft news. We're going to do meet the player profiles for every single pick. So don't miss a moment, and we'll see you in the next one.